Welcome back to the Well Off Podcast. I'm your co-host, Gina Simm.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Tara.
How's it going, Tara?
It's going good.
I'm happy to be back in the studio with you.
Yes, we are live in iHeartMedia in Hartford, Connecticut. We have been celebrating breast cancer all month, and we are excited to share with you our wellness tip of the week.
We are promoting self-breast exam, and we want to stress the importance of performing this on yourself every month at the same time of the month, preferably 14 days after your menstrual cycle, because self-exam is one of the most important ways to prevent breast cancer.
It's the way that I found my breast cancer, so I can't stress enough how important it is and to stay up to date with your mammograms and your annual doctor's visit.
For sure. And I know that today's guests will wholeheartedly agree with us. And today in the studio, we have Liz Cormier-May, who is the CEO of Mammogen. And she's here today to discuss cutting edge early cancer detection. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, very timely considering it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Absolutely. Every day is Breast Cancer Awareness Day for us at Mammogen, but October is always a very busy, special time of year for us.
It sure is. It sure is. And we love promoting and creating more self-awareness for everybody. So tell us a little bit about Mammogen and who you are.
Perfect. So first and foremost, I am a mother of two little kids, a very happily married wife, and I think everything starts there. And I've been blessed to have found my true passion in this world. And right now I am leading Mammogen, which is an early detection breast cancer company. And there are a couple things that make us very special and different. So we are the first company to have created a liquid biopsy test for breast cancer detection. And all that means, all liquid biopsy means, is that we are detecting breast cancer from blood. So liquid biopsy just means instead of needing a tissue, we can find disease from biofluids. Ours are blood, but it could be urine or saliva or tears even. But Mammogen's test can detect breast cancer in its very earliest stages from blood.
Wow.
So when I had my biopsy, they said they found a few suspicious lymph nodes in like my armpit area. Yes. So they did a biopsy and it came back negative. And they're like, good, your lymph nodes are clear. We're going straight to surgery. Then when they did surgery, they're like, actually, we see 11 suspicious. Then they tested them and 3 of them were cancerous. Mm-hmm. So when you test with biopsy, you're just testing a piece of tissue at random.
Correct.
And so this is going to test the blood.
Correct. So let's talk a little bit about what the difference there is. And first of all, this is why self-breast exams are so important. So your tip of the day is wonderful. Most women don't necessarily understand you should be checking your armpits too.
Yes.
It's not just your actual breast and your nipple. Make sure you go into the armpits. A lot of breast cancer is first felt there.
Yes.
But here's the big difference. You are right. In that when we do a biopsy, whether it's in our breast or any organ of our body, we're only sampling random pieces of tissue. So if you don't get a piece that has cancer in it, then you can get a negative result when actually there could be cancer there.
Wow.
It's more prevalent in organs like the prostate, but it does happen in breast cancer. What we're doing is we're not actually detecting cancer, if we want to get technical. We're detecting your body's response to the presence of cancer.
Wow.
That is really the key.
That is so interesting. And I mean, it really sounds like it's going to be a game changer.
It is. It really is. One, because the ease of liquid biopsy makes the test far more accessible to anybody who needs it, right? It's really hard to go get a breast biopsy. Mm-hmm. It's uncomfortable. And it's costly, as you know, and I've gone through the process, and luckily, mine were benign. But it takes a long time. It costs a lot of money, and it's scary.
It hurts. It hurts. I remember
I've had one too. Yeah.
It hurts. I mean, I always say the next thing I'm innovating around is a breast biopsy pathway because it's archaic.
Yeah. It is, as are mammograms.
Yes. I mean, mammograms have been around since 1913 with not a whole heck of a lot of innovation around them. So, yeah. And a blood test means you can go into any lab, get a simple blood draw, which we as women do for everything, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And in a couple of days, find out whether or not you have not just any type of breast cancer, but the very earliest stages of breast cancer, which really has been unattainable up until now. And a lot of that has to do with where we look to find our answers. But we are the first company that can not just detect late stage, but stage 1 breast cancer. And that's really important because truthfully, if you break it down, our mission isn't to detect disease. Our mission is to preserve the quality of life for women so they can preserve who they were as closely as possible to the day before they were diagnosed with breast cancer. And hold on to that woman, because the number one thing that I've learned after talking with thousands of breast cancer thrivers, survivors, even previvors up until this point is it's so hard to try to go back into your life and be the person you were before you found out you had breast cancer. And a lot of that has to do with the physical changes that so many of them go through. And stage 1 can be the difference between a mastectomy and no mastectomy, chemo and no chemo, radiation and no radiation. And when you start to think about the impact of that, you can really look at a woman and say, we are going to do everything we can to keep you whole. And that's really our mission. Communities need their moms. They need their wives. They need the women.
Yes. So for our listeners who don't have your chemist background or my medical background or Gina's lived experience, can you break down for us what the difference is between mammogram biopsy versus what you are creating here at Mammogen?
That's a great question. So let me make this perfectly clear. Every woman should be going for their yearly mammogram. If you are 40 or above, you have to be going every year. Please prioritize it because this is the first step. And we get really important information from our mammograms. Mainly, we find out whether or not we have dense breasts. And this is something that I've been spending a lot of time talking about because mammograms actually don't work the same for those of us with dense breasts. And I'm one of these women. I'm a category C, heterogeneously dense breasted woman. For those of you out there who don't know what that is, there are 4 categories. The first 2, A and B, mammograms work reasonably well for you. The second 2 categories, C and D, it means our breast tissue is denser. And A and B women have fattier tissue. And all that means is that a mammogram can't find cancer in our breasts as well because our breast tissue shows up white on a mammogram and cancer shows up white on a mammogram.
Right.
So it's like trying to find a white spot on a white wall. You just can't do it as well. In fact, some of us have mammogram results and they says, you're all clean, Liz, you're category C or D. The reality is up to 70% of the time, those results are incorrect because mammograms just can't see it.
Wow, that is scary.
Liz, tell me about I-RADS category because when I was diagnosed and I went to pick up my scans afterwards before I went to Memorial Sloan just from the imaging center, I looked at my scans and it said Bi-RADS category 5 and I freaked out. Freaked out. Oh my God, what does that mean? Do I have stage 5 cancer? Which isn't a thing, but I just freaked out. So nobody knows about this. Nobody talks about it. The doctors don't tell you what it is.
Nope.
What is it and what does it mean?
Okay, so most simply, Bi-Rads scores is a way for the radiologist to say how well they think they're seeing what they're seeing. If you're Bi-Rads 1 or 2, then they are pretty sure, even if they see areas of shadows or abnormality, that it's just areas of shadows and abnormalities. If you're Bi-Rads 3, 4, or 5, there's more question in there. Now you're starting to see maybe some potential areas of weird looking density or some cysts or some calcifications. It's not necessarily indicative of definite breast cancer. It's more, hey, we're seeing something here and we're not exactly sure what it is. And these women have to go on for additional imaging and testing to figure that out.
Okay.
It's really important. And I know, everybody that I talk to is like, what's that? So, my friends go get it. And they say, I had a mammogram and, they said I have to come back for more imaging. And I said, well, what was your Bi-Rads category? And they're like, what the hell is that?
Right.
So
I've never heard of it and I'm a medical person.
So it's just something that I think needs to be more widely known.
For sure, especially with things like My Chart, right? So most of the times we get our results before docs do now.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because we get that My Chart alert, and the first thing we're doing is going in there and looking at our mammogram, and you can even look at our images. And when you see a report that has language you don't understand, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. So the most important things to be looking for are your breast density category. Are you A, B, C, or D? If you are C or D, you make sure you call your OBGYN and get an ultrasound and an MRI or some combination of those two scheduled. When you see your Bi-Rads score, if your Bi-Rads 3, 4, or 5, you should be talking to your physician about getting additional testing.
Okay.
Okay?
So something I want to ask you about, and again, trying to keep this as layman as possible, just so that our listeners can really understand what you're doing here to revolutionize cancer detection. You mentioned something to us in our last conversation about using math. That's something, what you're doing is very different. So can you talk to us about that?
Yes, and I'll keep this simple. So most diagnostic tests, whether it's from biofluids or tissue, they start with science and then apply math to get the results. And what that means is they're looking for biomarkers. Most people know this as genes, whether they're DNA or RNA. Okay. And DNA is what most people are familiar of. It's what makes us who we are. And RNA is the language of our cells. It's how our body communicates with itself.
And we learned a lot about that during the COVID pandemic with the vaccine.
I always say if there is a silver lining to COVID, it's that everybody knows what RNA is and everybody knows what PCR is. And Mammogen's test is based in RNA and PCR is our technology platform.
Got it.
But what most people do is they look for the genes that they think are going to give them the answer that they're looking for. So in our case, we looked for genes, but we didn't use the science. We actually used a tremendously powerful AI system that we built that looked and found our RNA biomarkers that were most important in detecting breast cancer. But it did it using math. It is the entire system is all based in bombarding essentially a virtual ecosystem with 60 different kinds of math and trillions of algorithms. And they evolve just like humans do. These algorithms and math, they mate, they mutate, they migrate. We like to say it's like the Hunger Games of biomarker discovery. And what comes out is the best biomarkers for finding breast cancer. But it all starts with math. And that's very different than the way most of this industry does things. They kind of dig into scientific papers and genetic testing and look for the genes. We don't do that. We let math tell us what those genes are and where we should be looking for them.
So how far away are we from being able to access this magic? Because I'm due for my mammogram this month, actually. I don't want to go into the torture chamber.
Squish your baby.
Yes, I just want a nice little blood test.
I know. So our goal is to have this test in market around this time next year. If we get this test to market before the end of 2025, I will be exceptionally excited. And to that point, we will be very soon enrolling in our final clinical trial. So if anybody is interested, if you know you're a dense breasted woman, if you find out that you have dense breasts on your next mammogram, go on to Mammogen's website and there will be a link to sign up for learning more about our clinical trial. And each and every one of those women who sign up will be contacted to see if you're eligible.
Now, can you live anywhere?
You can live anywhere.
I was going to say, I'm signing up.
Yes. You can live anywhere. In fact, part of what makes this clinical trial so neat is that we will actually send phlebotomists to your home and take your blood in the comfort of your own living room.
Somebody hand me my phone.
I know.
Sign up right now.
So can people who have had breast cancer sign up for this as well, or is this only
people who have not had breast cancer? And let me tell you why. Not because we don't want this test to be available for breast cancer patients. We will, and that will be a subset of an extension of this trial. But you have to start with people who haven't had breast cancer simply because I believe that people like Gina who have had breast cancer, you may have actually a different signature in your RNA post having breast cancer.
Okay.
So we have to at least separate those two populations of women because your genetic signatures are going to be drastically different
Got it.
after
Okay.
having
That
cancer.
makes sense.
So we start with people who haven't had breast cancer, and then we will enroll patients who have had breast cancer.
This is so exciting.
I know. And so how much does it cost?
This is such a good question. So part of our goal at Mammogen is to make sure everything we do is affordable, accessible, and scalable. If any of our decisions from R&D all the way through to market cannot check all three of those boxes, then we do not make that decision. Okay.
Okay.
So most cancer diagnostics, whether it be for breast cancer, which there are very, very many, or another care pathway, they're anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000. And most of those diagnostics exist in the later stage, meaning I already know I have breast cancer. Tell me what therapies are going to work, or tell me if I'm most likely to recur, or tell me when that recurrence is most likely to happen. That's what I consider to be later stage.
Okay.
There aren't any blood tests for early detection breast cancer. We will be the first to market, and our goal is to price this at $500 or below.
Wow.
Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. One, because $500 is a price point that is drastically below other diagnostics. And remember, this has to be affordable and accessible.
Right.
Two, a $500 test is actually far less likely to be denied by insurance. In fact, it costs more to deny a test at a $500 price point than it does to approve it. So there's some strategy there. Okay. And we want to make sure that every woman who needs this test can get it. And $500 isn't free. We understand that.
Right.
And that's why there will be a number of different ways in which to access the test for people where $500, even if it's over the course of a year, is just too burdensome.
Well, thank you for that, because it's really disheartening that so many advancements in medicine are only for the very wealthy who can afford them. So kudos to you for having that on the forefront of your mind when you're developing this.
It has to be considered.
So will insurance cover this?
Eventually, like all tests, eventually. The answer is eventually. Here's the thing. Here's what's become increasingly interesting in this care pathway. So for those of us who find out we have dense breasts, we know we have to go on for a series of other testing.
Right.
There is a new FDA mandate that went into effect last month, September 10th. It's called the Mammography Quality Standards Act. And basically what that means is every woman who gets a mammogram has to now be informed of her breast density. Kind of hard to believe that.
I was going to say, it blows my mind that this wasn't a thing before.
Yeah, it was a thing in certain states, certain pockets of geography, but now it has to be across the board federally. So that means that 25 million women in the United States who have dense breasts may be finding out for the first time. I've gotten this letter. Connecticut is a state that has done it off and on.
I too receive it.
And it says, "Dear Liz, you have Category C, heterogeneously dense breasts. You need further testing." It doesn't tell you exactly what that testing is. And it goes on to say that it's very unlikely to be covered by insurance. And that's because everything other than your once a year screening mammogram is considered supplemental. And supplemental testing isn't covered. So here's the reality we're in. Once you find out you have dense breasts, you are going on for some other
test
imaging or testing, right? Right now it's imaging because there is no other option.
Okay.
That imaging on average costs anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000 out of pocket, depending on the exact decisions you and your provider make. Now, that is far more burdensome than a $500 blood test that is not only more sensitive, but also more specific. And all that means is more accurate than those imaging tests.
I mean, I have chills. I have chills just listening. I mean, my eyes keep welling up because I keep thinking about everything that I went through. And if there was a way to do this test before to know, I mean, it's a game changer. And, you talk about preserving a woman's body. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're just boobs. You're right. They are just boobs. And I'd rather lose my boobs than my life.
Right.
But they're still boobs.
They're still boobs, and they're part of our body,
our femininity,
our sexuality, our intimacy with our partners. There's so much more than just boobs. And to look at yourself in the mirror for the first time after losing such a huge piece of what you recognize to be yourself, there's nothing easy about that.
Yeah.
No.
And, last week we featured a woman who does 3D nipple tattooing, and she did it for me. And, it's amazing, the advancements, but it's also amazing that, just something as simple as a 3D nipple tattoo can make a world of difference in the way you see and look at your body.
It makes it recognizable
Yeah.
in some aspect again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't even stress how important this new innovation is. And so essentially your doctor can just order this blood test like they do any other, and you walk into one of the labs and you just get it done.
That's right.
And then what happens when they find something that they're looking for? Then what?
So you will get a result. Well, your doctor will get a result.
Right.
At least in the beginning, the results will all go to your doctor, and then and it will tell your doctor that you are very likely to have breast cancer. And because this test is so accurate, if a woman has breast cancer, and even in stage 1, we are right 99% of the time.
Wow.
So if you
This
get
is incredible. Truly.
It is incredible. But listen, nothing's perfect. There will be false positives or false negatives. Nothing is perfect, but this is as close to perfect as we have ever seen in this care pathway.
Wow.
So then, at least then, if you get a test saying, hey, Gina, you're very likely to have breast cancer, at least now you can go on to this care pathway and use the imaging for what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
Find that cancer. Right?
Especially if you have a family history or things of that nature.
Yes. Absolutely. Because, those of us who have family history, we know we should be getting screened differently than those of us who don't. And ladies, if you have family history and you're listening, do not wait till you're 40 to start getting screened. Do not let your doctors tell you that is an appropriate care pathway, because it simply is not.
Mm-hmm. So Liz, you're changing the world.
Literally.
You're a chemist, you're a mom, you're a wife, and I'm sure many, many other things. So how do you stay well? Because you're beautiful, you're fit. Listeners, you can't see her, but she's a vision. So what do you do to stay healthy and stay focused so you can do this groundbreaking work?
I have found there are two things, and this has changed over the course of my life. I think once you enter your mom season, the amount of time you have to take care of yourself and truly just yourself changes drastically. So I have an 11-year-old, he's in 6th grade, and I have an 8-year-old, she's in 3rd grade, and we're very busy with sports, 3 sports between the two of them, and school and all the rest. But I have found that my husband and I take a walk nearly every morning after we drop the kids off, and half the time I'm on calls and while we're walking, and we're fortunate to live by the Connecticut River. So from our house and back is 3 miles, and we do that walk nearly every day. We only do it in the morning for 2 reasons. One, because I get to spend time with my best friend, even if we're not talking, even if I'm working, there's just a sense of home and peace in that. And 2, because it sets a very positive tone for the rest of my day. I strongly encourage people, whatever your workout looks like, do it in the morning. You release all those endorphins, you set the right tone for your day, and it's proven. Exercise makes people happier.
I have
subscribe.
I have to say, I didn't exercise this morning, and I was a little grumpy this morning.
Yes. I agree. She was.
It's not myself, and I didn't work out this morning. So
it's science. Endorphins make people happy. And,
right.
Prior to becoming a mom, I would do, crazy workouts, whether it's in the gym or in the home. That just doesn't fit in with our lifestyle anymore. And that walk sets my day off on the right side. And then the other thing I do is everybody who's worked with me over the last 5 years will attest to this. It's kind of become my thing. I walk on a treadmill, with a standing desk all
that's
long.
great. Yeah.
I become like the treadmill CEO.
Yes.
And it's, for me, it keeps my body physically moving, and physical movement just keeps me focused. It keeps me centered. It keeps me happy. And for some reason, difficult meetings I can shake off a little easier when I'm physically moving through them. So for me, those are the 2 things that I do religiously. And then other than that, food becomes a lot more important after 40.
I was going to ask you.
When I eat has changed drastically. I started a fasting routine about 2 years ago, and not to lose weight, but to really to try to test some of the benefits I had read about. I fast about 1 day a week. That has changed everything from
where you don't eat it all for the whole day.
I don't eat it all. I just drink a lot of water.
Wow, I could never do that.
Wow.
That has had tremendous benefits, and not so much the way I look, more the way I feel. And I've noticed it most in my skin, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yep. I don't, I used to be able to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, what time of day I want. That is not the
We all
same.
could. We all could. Yes.
Welcome to the party. As you just bring up a good point about nutrition. So, with cancer, there's all these things like, oh, you shouldn't eat soy. You shouldn't have this. You shouldn't have this. Is there any, kind of just 1 tip or 2 tips about, what to eat, what not to eat?
So here's my thought on this. Anybody who comes out the other side of cancer. Should you be responsible at what you put in your body? Yes. But should you limit anything that brings you any modicum of joy? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless you're, chugging down a bottle of Tito's every night or stuffing yourself with, hundreds of grams of sugar.
Yeah.
Not the way to go.
So eating those box of munchkins outside, not a good idea.
Munchkin for two. I think
only
everything
had
in
one.
moderation.
I might have so fixed. Oh, just kidding.
Everything in moderation. That's my tip.
Got it.
And so you're here because we need to learn and our listeners need to learn from you. But we always ask our guests what well off means to them.
To me, well off means a Saturday morning in my pajamas on my couch with my family and nowhere to go.
Oh, I love that.
Amen to that. Yes.
Only I'm watching the Golden Girls.
Yes.
My husband is a huge Golden Girls fan. He loves them. Yeah,
Really?
he loves them. Mm-hmm.
Well, then you had to marry him.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
And when you think about the big picture, what does top shelf life mean to you?
Top shelf life means being able to create a world in which my family and the people I love don't have to worry about ever needing the essentials in life. That's top shelf to me means, yes, there's an element of financial success there, but it's more than that. It's tools to make the decisions they want to make. It's the freedom to be the people they want to be. It's the ability to spend as much time with the people they love and make them feel good as is humanly possible. And of course, finances are weaved into every single one of those. Mm-hmm. So yes, I've worked very hard and my goal is to build generational wealth for my family and the people that I love. But that's not just so they have big numbers in their bank account. It's so they can be whoever they want to be in whatever way they want to be it.
Well said.
And I love that.
So how can our listeners find you? How can people like me participate in your clinical trial?
Yes.
I'm signing up today.
Literally that. Best way for the trial is to go onto the website and there will be links there. There are also links for our Mammogen marketplace where we sell tons of gear, Mammogen logoed gear. All of that money goes towards some type of patient advocacy or research development endeavor. And if you want to find me, I'm on LinkedIn, I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, though I will say I am not nearly as good at social media as I should be. Mammogen has an Instagram page. Follow that.
Do you know what it is?
Yes, it's Mammogen.
Oh, just Mammogen. And the website.
And the website is mammogen.bio.
Mammogen.bio. All right.
Get through Mammogen's IG will come to me. So
I will respond to every single private message
that anybody sends to me.
So reach out, please. Well, Liz Cormier-May, CEO of Mammogen, thank you so much for being here today, for enlightening us and giving us hope for our health in the future.
So much hope. So thank you so much.
My distinct pleasure.
Continued success.